Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem.
Verse 1.
Parshas Chayei Sarah. But first, before Aiden reads for us the first pasuk, we should point out chapter 12. So this portion, what's the name of the portion, Aiden?
Chayei Sarah.
Chayei Sarah. What does Chayei Sarah mean? The life of Sarah. What's the portion about?
The death of Sarah.
The death of Sarah. So if it's about the life of Sarah, if it's about the death of Sarah, why is it called the life of Sarah?
Maybe like her, like her legacy.
Does that decum never die?
So legacy means, say more, say better, say
like a reflection of her life, maybe.
Reflection of her life. Excellent answer. What were you going to say, Jonathan? I cut you off.
Does that decum never die?
The tzaddikim never die. Exactly right. The tzaddikim still live on. So even though she is technically, her physical body is no longer animated, is no longer alive, her neshama lives on. And Hashem also, the tzaddikim are eternal. How are the tzaddikim eternal? That their deeds that they establish in the world live on. Which are the portions in which prominent people die? What portion does Yaakov Avinu die in?
The middle portion.
Which parsha from the Torah is Yaakov die in?
Oh.
No, close. Yaakov dies in the parsha called Vayechi, and he lived. So that's about the death of Yaakov. So the Yaakov lives on. And how are we doing here? Come on, Erez, grab a chumash. And Erez, we're going to put Erez on the spot here, right there, Erez. Which parsha does Moshe Rabbeinu die in?
Oh.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, you know. No, you're close. Are you bleeding?
My nose. Is it bleeding through the paper now?
No, I just see you have a paper in your nose.
Yes.
You know this boy?
Do you know?
Yeah, I advise you not to wrestle him because he's really good at wrestling. Okay. So which portion did Moshe Rabbeinu die in? What's the last portion of the Torah where it says Moshe died? What's that called, Erez? Vizot HaBracha. So, wait, I know, right, you daven this morning, but Aiden, did you daven? Put on the tefillin right now. Put on the tefillin. If you didn't daven, put on the tefillin.
Shouldn't I do it?
Yeah, do it now because I'll tell you why. We daven. I make all certain calculations. I don't want to go into them right now, but we daven right at the border of sunset, and the tefillin you're supposed to put on before sunset. So put them on right now and study.
You want me to read? Or should I read and then put it?
Read one verse and then put on the tefillin, and you can study, and you'll study the Torah and the tefillin. You'll study the Torah and the tefillin. Okay, Aiden, and just say the Shema and study the Torah. Okay, so the concept is that we're pointing out, Jeff, that the portions in the Torah that talk about life, that are called life, all have the death of the tzaddikim in them. Parshas Chayei Sarah, Vayechi, and Vizos HaBracha, because the tzaddikim live on even when they physically die. So, okay, who was the only one in the Bible who never actually died?
There's a couple.
There's a couple. Let me hear more.
Benjamin.
Does the Gemara say Benjamin didn't die? Does the Gemara say that? I'm trying to recall. Does the Talmud say? Well, definitely.
No. Benjamin died because of the Nachash, but he did die.
Oh, but he died without a sin. There are 4 people who died without a sin. There are 4 people. The Gemara says there are 4 people who died with the sin because of the sin of the snake. So those 4 people who died because of the sin of the snake. And that's a different Gemara. That's Benjamin, Amram, Yishai, and Kilav.
Eliezer,
the servant of Avram.
Yeah.
It says he never died.
I believe so.
We have to look that up. Rabbi Yosef, we have to ask Grok. I mean, you could be right, Jonathan. What? Grok is the best. I mean, there's no question. Grok knows way more than any rabbi. The only thing is, Grok knows facts, but Grok does not have the judgment to paskin, because to make a halachic ruling, it's a matter of faith. and a matter of sensitivity. So grok, if you have like a factual question, you could definitely ask grok. And even if they get it wrong now, they'll get it right eventually. They'll be so much superior. But that doesn't mean that they can ever paskin a shaila. They can ever decide a halacha question. Because for that, you need to be sensitive. Like if somebody here would say to me, let's say, like I had this question. My grandmother is in the hospital. Am I allowed to be with her in the hospital on Shabbos, even if it means that I'm going to have to violate certain types of laws to visit her? So Grok will ask that question, and Grok is not going to know the full gamut of sensitivity required to answer that. But you need a rabbi who you trust to be able to answer that question. Okay, so Aiden, please, Vatasha, read the first verse, and then you put the tefillin on. Hey, good morning, Ariel. Amazing to see you, Baruch Hashem. Okay, let's go, Aiden.
Rashi Chayei Sarah, sana.
No. Read that word, Aiden. Read that word like a yid. Rashi Chayei Sarah. What's the word? Me'ah shana.
Shana. ב-20 שנה ושבע שניים שנים שני חיי שרה.
Beautiful. So the life of Sarah was 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. This is the life of Sarah. And read the first Rashi, very famous Rashi. The Olam, the Velt is perplexed by this first Rashi. The Olam has a lot of questions on this first Rashi. Erez Vakasha, please read it. Okay, wait, stop for a second. So Rashi gets right into it because the question is, why does it say Shana each time? It says Me'ah Shana, Esrim Shana, V'Sheva Shanim. Why is the word Shana repeated 3 times? Why is Shana written after each number? It says 100 years. If you say, how old are you? I'm 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years. That's ridiculous. Say I'm 127. The text is problematic. So why does it say it? Go on, Erez. Okay, to tell you that each one of these things is doresh, has to be expounded on its own. Oh, by the way, I got it. I'm just going to tell everybody. I tweeted my friend Tevi Troy. This is a tangent. But I had a little Twitter war with Tevi. I mean, he tweeted something and I did a response. That's the war. And then he texted me about it, and I texted him back. What happened was Tavi wrote an opinion piece in the Wall Street Journal saying that he may be unable to wear his kippah in New York with Mamdani, and if you see him in a hat, you'll know why. Because he could feel afraid to wear his kippah. So I tweeted out, Tavi is always brilliant. We always have to read Tavi, but if we're afraid to wear a kippah, we have to. Now's the time where every Jew should wear a kippah. Every Jew, even if you don't wear a kippah before, now's the time to wear the kippah. Every Jew. That's why I say, no, right, walk around with it in school, Aiden, walk around with it in school. Now's the time where we have to doubly be sure to wear the kippah. That's one of the reasons why I wear the shtreimel. I want now more than ever, I want people to look at me and know I'm Jewish. And we're here to stay. So that's why I specifically wear the shtreimel home on Shabbos. Everybody knows I'm Jewish. Now more than ever, we want to make the point. We're not afraid to be Jewish. You're not intimidating us with your anti-Semitism. So generally speaking, is it a mitzvah to wear a kippah? No, but now it's an absolute mitzvah to wear a kippah. And also, especially like in Israel, if boys your age are serving, I mean, maybe 1 or 2 years older, they're serving in the IDF. That's their service. So in America, people are not serving in the IDF. So what you could do, you could wear a kippah. That's what I'm saying. That's my point. Okay, anyway, so it says, Nidrash la'atzmo, to tell you, okay, go on, Erez. Each one is expounding on its own. To tell you, Bat Meah, that when she was 100, she was like 20 with respect to sin. Shin. So he says, just like if you're 20, you haven't sinned because a 20-year-old is not responsible for their sins, because you're not responsible, according to Gemara in Shabbos 89b, you're not responsible for any sins that you committed before you're 20. Go on. Also, at 100 years old, she was without sin. Go on.
Question?
Hold on, let's finish this Rashi, and we'll take your question.
Ovas, 20 הקבה שלה לאופי.
Well, Yofi. And when she was 20, she was like 7 with respect to beauty. What's your question, Abe?
Be responsible for your sins before 20.
That's a very good question. Because the concept is, first of all, there's so many questions on this Rashi, and you asked one that I hadn't even thought of. There's a lot of other very, very strong questions. Well, Aiden's question is, why you're not responsible for your sins before you're 20? And okay, so the reality is that's there, by Jewish law, you're responsible from when you reach 13. So by 20 years old, we're basically saying that you're responsible in the courts below once you reach 13, but the heavenly court is more lenient upon you because the concept is that before you're 20, you're stupid. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like
That's in the Torah, or that was in the Gemara?
that's in the implication of the Gemara. The basically, before you're 20, like you're making all sorts of dumb decisions.
Where does that number come from? Like, why? Like, does it say in it doesn't say like
Okay.
a rabbi just decided that, or?
Let's go get the Gemara. We have to get the Gemara. Okay, it's a very good question. Rabbi Yosef has, no, Aiden is pressing me correctly.
So two things. One is Eliezer did die. There's no source that he didn't. And second, the 20 comes from the idea of karet. In the desert, they were told that anybody below 20 was not responsible for the sin of the spies.
Well, let's see that's a very good idea. But let's see what the Gemara says in Shabbos 89b. But let's see. Rabbi Yosef he's like keeping us on track. He rejected Jonathan's point. Sorry, Jonathan.
But Rabbi, there's also the Midrash, the Gemara that talks about Yitzchak talking to Hashem about the future. That
yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. Here's the Gemara, of course. It's the famous Gemara, very famous Gemara. Let me read it to you. Okay, hold on 1 second. Here we go. So, okay. So this is what the Gemara says. Okay, this is your source. So this is the Gemara. What does it mean? Says Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachmani in the name of Rabbi Yonasan. What does it mean when it says Ki ata avinu ki Avraham lo yadanu v'Yisrael lo yikirenu ata Hashem avinu goenu me'olam shemecha? There's a verse from Isaiah 63. In the future, in the time of the resurrection, hey, what are you doing? Let's go. In the time of the resurrection of the dead, God says to Abraham, your children have sinned against me. So he said, so God says to Abraham, this is the Midrash, God says to Abraham, your children sinned. So Abraham says, well, if they sinned, wipe them out in order to sanctify your name. So God says, I'll say to Jacob, God went to Jacob and he said to Jacob, maybe Jacob will be more sympathetic because Jacob had the pain of raising children. And maybe he'll ask for mercy. He says to Jacob, your children have sinned. So Jacob says, Rebbeinu Shalom, wipe them out. So God says, maybe I'll go to Isaac. Maybe Isaac, we're trying to answer Aiden's question because Rashi says the 20-year-olds who haven't sinned. So what's the source for that idea? So he goes to Isaac and he says to Isaac, your children have sinned. So Isaac says to him, Rebbeinu Shalom, are they my children and not your children? Do you remember this Gemara, Jeff?
No,
I said, are they my children, not your children? At the time when they said Na'aseh v'nishma, when they said we will do, we will listen, you said you are my child, my firstborn child, and now you're saying they're my children, not your children. And furthermore, and this is the part. Let's look at how much did they sin? Did they really sin? How many years is a person alive? What's the lifespan of a human being? 70 years. Take away 20 years because they're not punished for them. We'll come back to that phrase. Take away 20 years because they're not punished for those 20 years. Then we're only left with 50 years. then take away 25 more years because they're nights and you don't sin at nights. So now we're left with another 25 years. And so now take away another 12 and a half years because 12 and a half years of your life you're spending praying and eating and going to the bathroom. So they're only left with 12 and a half more years to sin. So now, and if you want to take all of these sins, fine. Otherwise, you'll take half the 12 and a half and I'll take the other 12 and a half. And so therefore, anyway, God liked what Isaac was saying and God praised him. And immediately, anyway, the verse goes on. But anyway, they say in this year, it says, take away the first 20 years because they are not punished for them. And the commentary says here, and this is based upon Rashi. Rashi says, because we find in the generation of the wilderness that God did not punish anybody who was less than 20 years old. As it says, Mi ben esrim shana v'mal, by the sin of the spies. And wait, 1 second, one second. So one second. So then Rashi goes on and Rashi says that based upon the Midrash Tanchuma, that the heavenly court does not punish you until you're 20. And the Jerusalem Talmud says that a person is not punished with karet until they're 20. And this is expounded upon in the Shut Chacham Tzvi. He goes into it at great depth. Maybe we can find it in the back here, then maybe go more into it. But that's the idea. Hold on, let's see if Chacham Tzvi discusses this. Hold on, 89b. Hold on 1 second. He says here, here it says, here's a whole long essay here. Onesh bidei shemayim kodem ben esrim. So here's an incident about this. It's the Maral Bach, and when he was young, he was forced to convert. They grabbed him in Portugal, and they said, you have to convert. And after a little bit of time, he was able to escape, and he ran away to Salonika. And he had he says he did it. He says, I did it. I did it when I was a young boy. I converted. And he says I didn't merit to give up my life. But he says I was under 20, so I'm not worthy to be punished. Anyway, we see from here.
But anything like any like. No, I'm just curious. Like, is that what they actually believe? Like, if you're a kid and you killed someone. You know?
Okay, so the Chacham Tzvi, the Chacham Tzvi he was the chief rabbi of Lviv. He argues with this, and he says, it's obvious. Whenever somebody says it's obvious, we discuss, that means it's not obvious. He says it's obvious that somebody who's less than 20 years old can get karet from heaven. You're not off the hook. He says, don't raise the question from our Gemara, because we know that that's just like an inspirational idea. It's just an inspirational idea. And in fact, in many places, we know that children are punished. And he quotes the children of Judah, even though he says they're under 20. And he says, and it's possible to say that our sugya, anyway, he says that our sugya is not literal. So basically, first of all, we're not talking about, I want to make a couple of points about this. I know you're trying to say something, Jeff. I'll come back to you in 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Okay, fine. So first of all, our sugya is only talking about punishment from heaven. They're not talking about like if you did something to somebody else and punished by an earthly court. The punishment from heaven is only once you're above the age of 20. Were you trying to say something, Jeff?
No.
Okay, fine. So anyway, so that Aiden, that answers your question. That's the source, but it's really not taken literally by everybody. And I think the idea is that there's a recognition that, and this is why, okay, and speaking very seriously, a very, very dangerous time for males is when they're teenagers, and also females, because there's a lot of things that go in their mind. Their brains are not fully formed. They're reckless. They're not always responsible. So it's a very dangerous time, and people make mistakes when they're young. And then they want to say, don't hold me accountable because it was a mistake of my youth. Like there are people who did all sorts of bad things when they're young, and then they become like appointed to very, very important positions. And then the story comes out, well, when you were 18, you did this. So this is like, don't hold you responsible necessarily. Okay, so Aiden, have we answered your question?
Yeah.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. There's other questions about this Gemara, which is about this Rashi, what are some other classic questions about this Rashi? Why do they should say the opposite? They should say, when you're 7 years old, you're free of sin. And when you're 20, you're beautiful. I mean, it's a little creepy to say you're beautiful when you're 7. It's like icky. It's more likely to say that when you're 20, you have the beauty. And when you're 7, you're free of sin. So that's an obvious question. So one answer to this question is that there's other versions of the text which actually have that. But the classic answer to that question is that the concept is that Sarah's life was complete. That here's one answer that I saw, that when she was young, what are the qualities of youth and what are the qualities of seniority? What are some of the qualities of youth? What?
Purity.
No, good qualities of somebody who's young.
Innocence.
Physically or spiritually?
Strong.
Energy, strong. What else?
Enthusiasm.
Zealotry, purity, passion. And what are some of the qualities of seniority? Wisdom, perspective, experience, measured reactions. So the concept is that Sarah was able to retain the powerful, positive qualities of youth, even while she was older. And when she was younger, she had the qualities also of that are normally associated with experience. So she was able to have both qualities in this geschmack manner. That's by the way, Noam, did you put the tefillin on yet? You should put it on right now. Right now before the sun sets, and be sure to say the Shema. You can do it at the table if you want. Just be sure to say the Shema with it.
You guys are passing around my.
Yeah, you. By the way, no, Rai, you should be so happy about that. That means you get the tremendous
Is
mitzvah.
that true?
Yeah, he gets more. He's giving you an opportunity to put the mitzvah on. So yeah, okay. So anyway,
Multiplier.
yeah, exactly. So now we come up to the next Rashi. Shnei Chayei Sarah. Erez, read the next Rashi.
Wait, is that why? I have a quick question. Is that why like all very like religious people in like cities will go around to anyone that looks Jewish, or just getting mitzvahs on all the people?
You mean Chabad?
Yeah, Chabad.
Well, that's what they're doing. They're doing like these things.
I think they're doing it for the mitzvah for them, not for.
So one of the concepts why the Chabad will do that is because they view the world as though the whole world is hanging in the balance. And if somebody does one more mitzvah, it could tip the world for good. So if they just get that one other Jew to do the mitzvah, it could be transformative of the world. And it could really, there's no comprehending the concept of what one person who you interact with, probably for every one that they have a positive experience, they have 1,000 who just shut them down. But there's a guy here who led our services on Yom Kippur before he moved to Kent Mill, and he inspired us so much with his davening. And his father is one of those people who's just walking by Penn Station, and a Chabad guy said to him, "Have you put on tefillin today?" And he said, "Oh, no," and that changed his whole life. And now his grandchildren go to Berman, and so it's like you never know the impact. But I also know that the reason why I tell you guys to put on the tefillin is because I know you want to put on the tefillin and you just forgot. Or maybe who knows what happened this morning. I mean, we've all been there. And so this is an opportunity. I don't want you to lose the opportunity. Okay, so we'll just do one more pasuk, hopefully before we stop. It says, one more idea here is Shnei Chayei Sarah. What does that mean, Erez? Please read that. That they were all through good, that she maintained her purity from the beginning of her life till the end of her life. Okay, one more pasuk. Okay, Norai v'akasha lekro et pasuk. You see, when I call Norai in the morning, I'm speaking Hebrew with him right away. Okay, go. It's so geschmack. Go read. Okay, go on. Read the pasuk. V'tamat Sarah.
Kiryat Arba.
Okay, Sarah died in Kiryat Arba. Has anybody here ever been to Kiryat Arba? Erez, you must have been.
Yeah.
You think or you know?
I don't.
You would know if you've been there. It's one of those places. Jeff, you been there yet? Yeah. Well, Kiryat Arba is Chevron. Kiryat Arba, you Chevron.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Marat Machpelah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Kiryat Arba. Okay, go on. Lispod l'sarav with kota. Lispod is in Hebrew. It's the word lispod is a hesped. It's a eulogy. So the fundamental question about this, someone approved from here a very important question. Has anybody here ever been to a funeral? Obviously, the Jeffs have been, but you've been to a funeral. Unfortunately, you've been to funerals. So at a funeral, when you eulogize the dead, you say that word in Hebrew. It's called a hesped. It's called a hesped. It's called a hesped. So the question is, the Gemara in Sanhedrin 89 discusses, is the purpose of a eulogy, is it for the living or the dead? What's the purpose? What's the reason why we eulogize? Is it to give honor to the dead or comfort to the living?
Yes.
So the Gemara concludes it's both, but the Gemara discusses it's a little bit of both. And by the way, why would we need to know? Why would we need to know which one it is? Because, and this happens, sometimes the people, when they die, they leave behind a specific order saying, do not eulogize me. Do not eulogize me. I don't want to be eulogized. So if it's for the dead, you have to listen to them. But if it's for the living, then you don't have to listen to them. So that's the whole question. I think. I think that the Rebbe said not to eulogize him. I think that the Chabad say not to eulogize. I don't know. I have to look that up. But
they say that or across the board, great.
I have to look up the halacha. But generally speaking, we try to, if they say that, we try to limit it, and maybe instead of at a service, we maybe only at the grave but the point is that there are some communities where they don't eulogize because lots of times at eulogies, they end up saying things that are not true. And that makes it a word. That's a sin. So, but other people say, no, it's true. Give some comfort. But from here, they want to say that it's obviously for the dead. Because if it's for the living, would they have waited so long for Avram to come? And Avram came to eulogize. Would they have kept Sarah lying there? So it's obviously for the dead. It would be greater honor for Sarah. Okay, let's stop here to daven mincha. Sorry for the delay. Let's stop here to daven mincha.